everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm hoping that you're seeing and hearing us okay, because we had a comment here from Robin. If by chance you're having that technical difficulty, just log off, log right back on. Hopefully that will help. I also want to welcome our guests from Facebook. I'll be logging on there here in just a second. So if you're joining from there, I want to say hello. And today we are here with Shelly Southall. Say hello, Shelly. She and I met back at Obesity Help this last year at a conference. And honestly, it was, you just find people that you just love at first sight. Shelly's just a great person, great personality, so cheerful, so loving. And we were on a panel together, and the panel was telling our stories. So we both, there was maybe like 5 or 6 people, and we both got up and we both separately kind of told our stories about weight loss surgery. Shelly also had weight loss surgery. And she's going to talk about her story. It's really unique. And honestly, Shelly, that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on here, because I just felt like so many people struggle with some of the things that you struggle with. One of the biggest things is weight regain. And you should see this girl now, guys. She looks amazing. So there is always that hope on the other side of the tunnel. If you're struggling with that, let me tell you, Shelly will be the one to give you some hope. I'm not kidding. So at that point, you guys know me. I've been here before. I want to say hello if you've not been here before. I am a nurse that works with ProCare Health, our sponsor. So I'll leave it at that right now. And I'm going to kind of turn things over to you, Shelly, because she has so much to say with everything.
Well, thank you, Brenda. And it is so awesome to be here today. My journey started way back in 2002. And, a lot of times we think that it's going to be smooth sailing right after surgery. And I struggled with regain for a long time, to the point that I ghosted my surgeon. I stopped going to support groups. And it took me over a decade to figure this out and get over it. It was back in 2017. And because I know that there's so many people out there that struggle with this, that's when I really started dedicating a lot of my life to helping other people that deal with that same challenge. So that's what's brought me here today. I primarily help people who are struggling with regain after surgery, or people that just want to make sure that they don't encounter regain after surgery. So I've got all kinds of stuff, YouTube channel, I have programs I do, private Facebook group. But today specifically, I put together a little presentation. So I will right now go ahead and share my screen. I just have to get the right screen here.
We're going to do things just a tiny bit different today. She has a lot of information, guys. And so what we're going to do is, if you have questions or comments while Shelly is presenting, please put them in the chat box, whether you're on Facebook or whether you're on Crowdcast. I know we have lots and lots of different groups meeting here. We have some of the surgical facilities, some of their patients are watching. We have Barry Nation. And so what I want to say is just put your stuff in the chat box, whatever platform you're on. I'll be monitoring those. And then we're going to be pausing towards the end to answer all those questions. If you're on Crowdcast, there is ask a question or a Q&A box that you're welcome to type them in there. If you have to jump off the call for any reason, those will be time-stamped. Okay, we'll answer them from there. So Shelly, go for it. I'm going to mute myself, great. Okay?
That sounds good. And I do want to encourage all of you throughout the content I'm going to be sharing with you today. I really want to encourage you to be active in the comments, so they're there talking to each other and just having fun with this, because that's the great thing about this, is this can be a lot of fun. So our conversation today is around 3 of the biggest mistakes after weight loss surgery that get in the way of achieving and maintaining the weight loss that you deserve. And I have to confess, in the 20 years since I had my surgery, I have made every single one of the mistakes that I'm going to share with you today. So you're going to get a lot of value today if you fit any of these criteria. Like if you've just had surgery and you want tactics that are going to contribute to your long-term success. Maybe you're further out and you're noticing some of your old pre-surgery, what we call the stinking thinking, or old habits coming back. Or maybe you've even have experienced some regain. Well, no matter where you are on your post-surgery journey, what I'm going to share with you today is relevant to you. So because of that, I do want to encourage you to have something to take notes with so that you don't miss a thing. Today's session is unique because it's not about how we should eat or how to burn more calories, and it's not about temporary solutions. What's different about today is that we're going to dive into fundamental changes in your thinking that have the power to shift the playing field to your advantage so that you can make lasting changes that support the right size lifestyle. And a lot of these strategies I'm going to share with you today are some of the very same strategies that I used back in 2017 to overcome 50 pounds of post-surgery regain and keep it off. So I do have one thing to ask of you that is super important, and that's that you take action on the ideas that resonate with you today. So type the word action in the comments if you agree to this. Who here today considers yourself to be an action taker? Brenda, do we have some action takers in the house? I know you might be on mute, so maybe a thumbs up. Are we seeing some action? Yay! All right.
I see an action. I see action. We have Chris, we have Melissa, we have Carrie, we have Holly. Let me look on Facebook. Guys, if you're on Facebook, feel free to
chime in.
We want action takers. We have Felicia, we have Jill, we have Lori.
Tammy, awesome. Catherine, I'm loving it.
Elena.
I'm totally loving it.
Lori. We have some likes too.
Oh, yay. Well, I think we all pinned a lot of hopes and dreams on surgery, right? I mean, afterwards, we go through these major changes. We start losing weight. We start building up confidence, and we think, finally, the struggle is over. But then, after the honeymoon period ends, I know a lot of us begin to experience some challenges. And you might notice old habits creeping back in, like obsessing over food or the urge to snack on lighter foods when you're not hungry, or maybe even some old disordered thinking. You might even experience regain, and maybe it's just a little, or maybe it's to the point where it begins to impact your health or your mobility. I mean, I know when I regained 50 pounds, I ended up back on blood pressure meds, and it was a lot harder to stay active. Or perhaps you've just seen some of these things happen to your peers and you want to make sure that this doesn't happen to you because none of this was part of the plan, right? So I want to ask you, what kind of lifestyle do you want to create? Is it perhaps one that allows you to look and feel your best without having to starve yourself skinny or endure ridiculous amounts of exercise to do so? And feel free to chime into chat. What does that lifestyle look like that you want to create? Maybe it's something where you want to achieve control over your relationship with food so that you feel happy and energized, so you can fit into cute outfits you want to wear and have the mobility to be active with the little ones in your life. And more than anything, this is something I find that most of us have in common. We want to be free of the extra weight so that you can feel good about yourself and have the confidence to go for your dreams. Who here resonates with that? Type yes in the comments if you relate to any of that. Do you relate? Oh, yes, I'm seeing some yeses. Okay, cool. Well, I can tell you, I can relate. I wanted these things so badly. And I remember vividly the moment that set me on path to overcoming post-surgery regain so that I could not just dream about this, that I could actually live it. And it was on December 23rd, 2016. And so there I was in the happiest place on earth, but I was overwhelmed with a miserable sense of failure. And that's because for months, I'd been planning this 2-day Disneyland adventure with my then 9-year-old niece. And I wanted so badly to create a memorable experience for her. But it's like I just couldn't shake this feeling that I wasn't living up to being the person who I aspired to be in her life. So as we were beginning our float into It's a Small World, you sail into that rainbow and you get your first glimpse of the dancing kids from around the world, and they're singing that catchy little tune that you can't get out of your head. Well, that's about the time that this critical voice popped into my head, and it started saying, yeah, you might be in a small world, but you're a big fat failure. You swore up and down that you would lose the regain before today so that it wouldn't be like this. I looked down at my ankles. They were swollen and throbbing from walking around the theme park all day. My knees felt like they were cracking from the pressure of carrying around the extra weight. And the skin on my body, I'll never forget this, it was like stretched to capacity. You know how like when you're blowing up a balloon and it gets to that point where it's just going to burst if you blow one more little puff of air into it. Well, my body felt like that. It felt enlarged and so uncomfortable that I couldn't even move naturally. But the worst part, put all that other stuff aside, the worst part was that I felt like a complete failure as an aunt. If only I could feel normal. If only I could be right size. Have you ever felt like that? Where the extra weight has just beat you down mentally and physically? Share in the comments. Have you ever felt like that? And worse, it's like there's this spotlight shining down on you. So you're convinced that the entire world notices how much you're struggling. And, I was sitting there wondering what my niece thought. Could she tell I was having a hard time keeping up with her that day? Was she embarrassed to be with me? I was drowning in my weight, and I knew without a doubt that surgery had saved my life. But in the theme park that day, there I was carrying around that 50 pounds of regain, and I felt like I had failed weight loss surgery. Now, fortunately, I was shaken out of these dark thoughts by that light shining through at the end of the tunnel that's at the very end of the ride. And I looked over at my niece, and she looked up at me, and she smiled. And in that moment, I was so overcome with the emotion because I realized my battle with weight was about more than just me. It was about how I showed up for life and for the people I cared about. So I decided in that moment that was going to be the moment that I break free from the shackles of regain for once and for all. And what I realized is that of the hundreds of failures I had experienced around weight in my life, they all had one thing in common. And that's that they were all driven by the diet mentality. Like those desperate attempts to lose weight through deprivation and drastic measures. You know those? So I broke up with the diet mentality. And instead, I started focusing on recalibrating my mindset. And what I discovered is that it's possible to redesign your thinking in a way that naturally leads to developing new habits. I discovered that this didn't have to be so hard as I was making it out to be. My confidence resurged. I felt re-energized. I felt in control. I could move better. I could breathe better. I laughed more. And the amazing thing was that my body slowly but surely began to transform. I lost all of my regain, every single pound. And even better, I've kept it off since. But I want to share with you the revelation I had. It is this. Mastering the right size mindset is the only way to lose or prevent bariatric regain and keep it off without deprivation or drastic measures. So if you're struggling in any way, what I want you to know is this: your tool still works. And because of that, you too are just one mindset shift away from beginning to take back control over your thinking, your behaviors, and your body. Type mindset in the comments if this is making sense to you, that by letting go of the diet mentality to instead focus on slow and steady mindset shifts, that you can literally break free from a life on the regain roller coaster to one where you experience the joy and ease of right-sized living. Oh, that's so awesome. I'm seeing a bunch of mindsets in the comments. All right. Now, I want to encourage you to grab a piece of paper and a pen if you have it handy, because I want to share something super important with you before we dive into the 3 biggest mistakes. It's something I created that is called the Rightsize Living Matrix. And this is going to be really useful in helping you define where you're at right now. Okay, so if you have the paper, draw this quadrant, and down at the bottom, write the word habit. Habits are the actions you take that have become automatic. These could include like the foods you choose to eat, your movement activities, maybe routines that you've got that just happen on autopilot every day. So write the word mindset going up the left side of that quadrant. Mindset is grounded in your beliefs. It shapes how you think and how you feel. It influences your attitude, your resiliency, your commitment. It drives what you are and are not willing to do. And then you've got a negative and plus symbol along each of those axes to show weakness and strength in each of these areas. So this is the deal. I've discovered that there are 3 dominant types of lifestyles after surgery. And in the bottom right of this matrix is what I call the deprived lifestyle. And this is where you're taking all of the right actions. You're eating nutritiously, moving your body regularly, practicing good self-care, and your body's either probably moving towards or maintaining a state that you feel really good about. But here, your mindset is stuck in beliefs that maybe aren't serving you so well. You know, those beliefs that are the hardcore all or nothing approach where you think that the only way to have a body that you love is through living on nothing but protein drinks and working out like a maniac. I mean, you might look really good, but on the inside, you're like hanging on by a thread, always obsessing about food, always hungry, clawing the walls and just living for that moment that you might allow yourself that one bite of dessert. Well, the top left is the resigned lifestyle. And this is the polar opposite of deprived. You've cut the cord on the I must eat perfect and move like a maniac mentality because, well, you've had enough. at least for the moment, you have decided that you are going to embrace body positivity and you are just going to focus on being happy, being kind to yourself. But the only challenge with this place is you might be starting to put on a couple pounds. Maybe the jeans are getting tighter. You might even have to buy the next size up. And while you may not be thrilled about that, you've decided to make peace with it, at least for the moment. Now, if you're here in the lower left, you're living the weighted lifestyle. You're anchored to a place that doesn't feel good mentally or physically. You've fallen back into old habits, maybe eating foods that drag down your energy, giving up movement activities because you just don't feel like it. But here, it's like you're not okay with any of this. In fact, you are constantly beating yourself up for what you're not doing right. You feel the weight of shame that's dragging you down. So share in comments. Where would you put yourself right now out of these 3 quadrants? Like, where do you default to? Do you feel like you show up in the deprived, the resigned, or the weighted lifestyle? You know, and I find that a lot of us may cycle between a couple of these, or we may cycle through all 3, but there should be one that's dominant. So share in the comments, which one do you feel like is your default? Weighted. Melissa's resigned. Donna weighted. All right. And I'll bet that you've probably had a taste of a lot of them, but weighted seems to be the one that is showing up dominantly here. And I have to tell you, that's where I mostly live too. Well, the good news is that the goal of our conversation today is to help you determine how to create the right size lifestyle. And that's where you have the mindset and habits that empower you to be in control and achieve the body where you look and feel your best without those deprivation or the drastic measures. I mean, wouldn't it be great to finally find this place of balance where you're no longer fighting between one extreme or the other, but, you know, in a place where you will really feel happy and at peace. So I'm ready to dig into the 3 biggest mistakes, but before I do so, I want to check in with Brenda and make sure, have there been any really important questions that we need to touch on before I dive into the biggest mistakes?
Nothing right now. It looks like everybody's just following you and just commenting, like as you're doing these. So Facebook the same. So
Okay, cool.
Keep going.
All right. Well, here are the 3 biggest mistakes that prevent you from achieving and maintaining that right-sized lifestyle, the one that was in the upper right quadrant, and more importantly, how you can avoid these mistakes. So here's mistake number 1, and it's something I've kind of been alluding to, but we need to get to the bottom of the why. And that is falling prey to the diet mentality. Almost every single person I've met who's regained any amount of weight after bariatric surgery has returned to dieting behaviors. Things like doing pouch resets, sleeve resets, drastically restricting calories, amping up the workouts to burn more calories. And a lot of times there's almost this obsessiveness that comes with it. It's like on your mind all the time, demanding so much of your energy and focus that it takes away from the things in life that are really important. So do me a favor and type "diets suck" in the comments if what I'm about to share with you sounds familiar. You go on a diet, you lose the weight, and you keep it off for about 1 red hot second, right? Because then it boomerangs right back on. And a lot of times it doesn't even stop there. The scale keeps going up, and a lot of times you end up worse off than you were before you even started this stupid diet. I'm seeing a lot of diets suck. I see some of you have experienced this too. Well, diets are based on calories in versus calories out, with the goal of expending or burning off more calories than you consume. And while there's basic truth to CECO, it's just not that simple. When you gain weight, you probably think, okay, so I've got to drastically slash my caloric intake. So that's where you might start turning to things like those resets or liquid diets, or living on nothing but baked chicken and steamed broccoli for weeks. Will you lose weight? Probably. Will it kickstart your motivation? I know they did for me when I tried them, but here's the problem. The results are typically very short-lived. And that's because when you drastically cut calories, it can screw up your metabolism. Your body doesn't receive the memo explaining to it that the reason behind why you've slammed the brakes on your caloric intake. In fact, if you drastically cut calories, your body is going to shift into starvation mode because it just assumes there must be a famine going on and it's got to protect you. So your metabolism slows down so that you burn less calories and so that you'll convert more of what you are eating into stored fat. And some studies even suggest that that type of caloric restriction can slow our metabolisms by as much as 23%. And on top of that, do we think that this type of restrictive eating is something that we can keep up forever? I mean, how many times that we've tried this stuff, we eventually get to a point where we break down and we say, oh, just 1 bite. But that 1 bite turns into a binge. Or after surgery, it's probably something more like an all-day craze, because thank goodness it's really hard to binge after surgery, right? So let's talk about calories out. I remember when I first started struggling with regain, and I have to admit to you, I wasn't even a full year out from surgery when I started putting on a little bit. So I went into cardio queen mode thinking, I'll just burn it off. And so I lost a little bit of the regain for about a hot second, and then I came back on. And, I wondered, why is that? I mean, there's no question that cardio and resistance training burn calories. And there's no question that these movement activities have a ton of health benefits. And there's no question that they should be an important part of your life unless you have medical complications that dictate otherwise. But fitness is not the magic key to weight loss. And if you're looking at fitness through the wrong lens, sometimes we can view workouts as a license to eat more. Have you ever done that? Anyone? I mean, working out just to justify having a treat. Please tell me I'm not the only one that's done that. Okay, so listen, working out is super important, but it's not some magic elixir that's going to help you melt off the pounds. Now, if that's not enough proof that the magic formula to losing weight is not as simple as calories in versus calories out, do you remember that show, The Biggest Loser? Well, after season 8, 14 of the 16 contestants agreed to participate in this study, and it followed them for 6 years. And the results were published. It was in 2016 in a journal called Obesity. And I want to share with you the numbers from this study because they are really eye-opening. So 6 years after the show, the weight and body fat percentages for a lot of them had boomeranged back on average really close to where they had started. And, you might be quick to attribute it to an individual's behavior or lack of discipline. But here's the thing, when you look at this part I've circled down here, when you look at the resting metabolic rate, that's the number of calories you burn at rest. On average, the 14 participants, when they started the show, they were burning 2,607 calories a day. Now, by the end of the show, they were only burning 2,000 calories. And honestly, this wasn't a big surprise. Like the researchers and the doctors, they expected this because they knew the metabolism would slow with these types of changes. But here's what the shocker was, that 6 years later, they were actually burning even less calories than right at the end of the show, only 1,900 calories a day. So do you see how much harm the diet mentality has been causing you all these years? The more you diet, the worse and worse off you get. So this is my question to you. Can you commit to breaking up with the diet mentality? Type break up. Break up in the comments if you're willing to make this breakup. And let me tell you, if you do this, this will be the best breakup you will ever have in your life. Do we have anyone who is willing to say, I break up with that forever? Well, I want to go on to, okay, I'm starting to see them come in, the breakup. Yes, okay, awesome. I'm so happy to see all those breakups. So let's go on to mistake number 2. The second mistake that gets in the way of achieving and maintaining right-sized living is letting ego get in your way. Ego. I don't know about you, but I am not a fan of that word ego. Does it make anyone else uncomfortable too? So let's unpack this thing because ego's tricky. Sometimes ego can give you the confidence to fuel your self-worth, and that's great. But other times, if you're not paying close attention, your ego can show up in ways that block your path to right-sized living. So let's explore 3 ways that it commonly crops up and how you can put ego in its place. Ego often creates resistance, largely because a lot of us have this know-it-all somewhere deep inside of us. And the reason for a lot of this is we have tried a gazillion ways to lose weight. So many that we are probably on information overload, and some of us have built up a resistance to new information. And I have a confession to make. This was especially true for me if it was anyone skinny who was trying to give me advice. Does anyone relate to that? Like if one of my thin friends tried to give me advice, my ears would just close up and I'd think, they don't know what they're thinking about or what they're talking about. They've never struggled. It's easy for them. Never once did I stop and think, maybe there's a nugget of wisdom in what they're sharing. Maybe they're right-sized because of some of their beliefs and habits around nutrition, movement, and wellness. And I had the same attitude towards doctors, nutritionists, and fitness gurus. I'm like, they haven't endured the struggle. They don't understand what I'm going through. So why should I listen to them? When in truth, my life would have been a whole lot easier if I had listened to what they said. Well, the solution is to break through resistance with curiosity. Curiosity is a beautiful thing. Instead of writing people off, be curious. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this person? This doesn't mean that you have to accept, believe, or try what they say. It's just about being open-minded to other people's perspectives. One thing that really helped me was to start asking questions. Instead of thinking someone else's advice won't work for me, I ask questions like, how do you make that work? What challenges did you face and how did you overcome them? Curiosity, I'm telling you, it has the power to change your life. Another way ego gets in the way is that ego makes excuses. I don't know about you, but when my ego gets unleashed, It makes countless excuses for why I didn't stick to the commitment. After all, it couldn't possibly be entirely my fault, right? So share in the comments, do you relate to any of these excuses? I have a slow metabolism. Menopause has hit and my hormones are out of whack. It's my thyroid. He or she is sabotaging my efforts. And it looks like we might be having some technical difficulties. Brenda, are you hearing me okay?
Yes, actually, if anybody is having problems, maybe go out and come right back in. I kind of think for whatever reason, Crowdcast takes a lot of broadband. And I think probably when you're sharing your screen, and which we want you to, obviously we want to, but I think it sometimes will do that. It'll sometimes freeze. And so I'm so sorry. They can, I don't know what else to do because we are going to be moving, guys, very soon to a new platform where hopefully we won't be having these same problems. But in the meantime, hopefully they're able to at least hear you. I think Laura is having problems. Laura, jump off and come right back on and see if it does. But it does keep buffering. So I don't know what else to do. I apologize. I think it's just the broadband. It takes a lot of broadband for this platform, but hopefully we'll have that fixed when we're moving. We're going to be moving in April, guys, and there's more to come on that. But in the meantime, bear with us. Maybe periodically slow down, and maybe if they need to, like, periodically check in, and maybe if there's a question they have about something, we can answer.
Okay.
I do think everybody's following you because we have a lot of comments that they're saying yes.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, cool. So we were talking about excuses, and I was sharing some of the ones that are common. And if these are ones that you encounter, let us know. I was sharing, some of our excuses are, I have a slow metabolism, or menopause is hit and my hormones are out of whack, or it's the holidays, I can't possibly make changes at a time like this, or he or she is sabotaging me. Or another big one is, I'm just too busy to get my movement routines in. Well, what's the solution? The solution is face the challenge. Excuses are often grounded in some level of truth. Like, you might truly have a slow metabolism. There could be someone sabotaging you. You might truly be so busy that it's hard to find time to exercise. But here's the thing. We don't lie down in defeat when we face challenges, do we? No, we find a way to work through them or around them. You might have to work harder to make changes than somebody else. Is it fair? No, but you're dealt the hand you're dealt, and you've got to work with what you have. There's a member of my private Facebook group who has overcome some of the most serious physical obstacles I've heard of, and she inspires me every day because she started by figuring out what she can do. When I first met her, she had just started trying to climb the stairs in her house, which is something she hadn't been able to do, and I think it was years. So she actually started butt scooting her way up stair by stair. And after months of persistence, she mastered walking up and down the stairs. It was super scary and challenging for her, but she started doing it, no excuses. And you fast forward to today, and she's out walking her dog every day. She swims and lifts weights every week at the Y. She is strong. She radiates confidence. And it's all because she faced her challenges. So no matter what excuse ego might throw out there, face the challenge. The third way that ego shows up is in judgment, not necessarily of others, but of yourself. Oprah Winfrey shared in the past that her size was closely. Yeah.
Shelly, I am so sorry. We're going to pause for just a second. I'm going to have you stop sharing your screen for just a second. I'm going to have you click on. We have a lot of people that aren't able to see or hear you. It's completely frozen. I'm concerned that maybe it's the slides, and maybe this will help. So your slides are super helpful. That's the problem. But if you can talk us. Let's see if people.
Yeah, I can talk you through.
Let's see if this helps just for a second, because you are getting in some of the best stuff. And these people that are listening are like so engaged and want to hear. I want to know, guys, tell us if you can hear Shelly better now and if her screen is still frozen. I kind of wonder if it's our storms, if maybe that's part of it too. Guys, let us know if you can hear.
Oh, yeah. Tornado watch out where you are.
Yes, I'm not sure, but
let's see.
I'm waiting to see if there's any more comments. If maybe somebody says it's working beautifully. How about the people that were having problems? The people that were having problems. Is it better with Shelly on screen now? Is she still freezing? Can you hear her? Let us know.
Yeah, can you hear me?
If they can hear us, it's hard to say.
And Laura, you made me laugh. Laura had eggs and sausage for breakfast. Okay. Now the people that are saying yes, were you having troubles, or was it everyone or just some people?
So
okay, so we can hear great, not freezing anymore.
Okay, I'm kind of thinking.
Okay, it's good. So
no problems anymore.
Okay.
Mine is still frozen. It all says is letting go of ego and resistance. Much better. Oh, Shelly, I don't know. I'm so sorry. What I'm going to say is I know your slides make it 10 times better because I know that they're of great quality. But I'm wondering if maybe just for a little bit, maybe we can pop on them again here in just a little bit and try it again. But maybe just kind of talk us through.
Yeah. So let's see. It sounded like we might have gone out when I was starting to bring up the second way the ego shows up, which is excuses. And I was sharing some of the more common excuses that you might hear crop up, like things like, oh, I have a slow metabolism, menopause is hit and my hormones are out of whack, or he or she is sabotaging me. Or it looks like there's still a couple people having some issues, but he or she is sabotaging me, or I'm just too busy to get my exercise in, things like that. Like, can anyone relate to some of those things? And the way to break through excuses is to face the challenges. It's to face them head on, because, I find a lot of times excuses are grounded in some measure of truth. Like, you might really have a slow metabolism. You might really have someone who's sabotaging you. You might really be too busy to work out. But do we fall down and just, take it? No, we have come so far. We stand up, we face the challenge. Is it as easy for us as it is for other people? It might not be. And it's not fair, but we stand up and we face the challenge. We deal with the hand we're dealt. There's a woman who is in my private Facebook group, and when I first met her, she was dealing with some of the most significant physical challenges that I have witnessed. And she was just starting to try to climb her stairs, which is something I don't think she'd done in a few years. So she actually started by butt scooting her way up the stairs. And before you knew it, she was able to navigate the stairs going up and down, no problem. And if you fast forward to today, she's walking her dog every day. She's at the Y several times a week, lifting weights, swimming laps. And it's all because she faced the challenge when ego could have easily let her have the excuses. So the third way ego shows up is in judgment. And it's not that we're judgy of others, it's that we're judgy of ourselves. Oprah Winfrey shared a story about how there was a time when she really closely tied her ego to her weight. And she said, I actually thought at the time that being thin made me better. And after her much publicized weight loss in the mid-'80s, she chose not to attend a party that Don Johnson of Miami Vice fame had invited her to, all because she had gained 5 pounds. She said, I didn't go to that party because I thought that the 5 pounds made me too fat, not good enough to be at Don Johnson's party. So share with us in the comments, can you relate to any of that? Are there events that you've maybe skipped because you didn't feel good about yourself? Are there times you've maybe stood in the mirror and nitpicked about every little imperfection? Are there times you've berated yourself for eating a piece of cake? The solution is self-acceptance. Change begins with loving yourself. It begins with accepting yourself. Accepting yourself requires a lot of practice. It requires a major shift in your internal dialogue. It requires a shift to understanding that there are no failures, only lessons learned. A good friend of mine, she lost, it was 80 or 85 pounds without surgery about 17 years ago. And when I saw that she was keeping it off for years, I finally asked her, I was like, how did you make this change? And she said, I let it go. And what she meant by that is that she accepted herself. As part of that, she let go the things in life that she couldn't control and started focusing on the things she could. And doing this brought such a sense of peace to her life. And it was so interesting that when she accepted herself and she let go, she was able to release the weight. So what do you think? If you drop just one of these elements of ego, like resistance, excuses, or judgment, how do you think your life might be different a month from now, a year from now? Do you think you might be open to adding new habits, or do you think you'll be better at following through on the commitments you make to yourself? Do you think you might even be kinder to yourself, accept yourself? So if you can hear us, it looks like some people are still freezing up, but if you can hear us, type in the comments, which one of those elements of ego would you be willing to give up? Would it be resistance, excuses, judgment? And it looks like some people are still having troubles, but then I'm seeing people that are refreshing and it's fine. So, Brenda, do you have any recommendations? Should I keep going?
I honestly don't know, because sometimes if there's other tabs open on the same computer, sometimes that's crazy. I don't even know if that's the case, but I just apologize. I don't know. I'm so sorry.
Well, it's technology, we love it when it's working. And
I'm really hopeful though that the replay is going to be perfect, because I can see, I shouldn't say perfect, because I have seen you freeze a few times, but I'm hearing every single word you're saying. So it hasn't been, to get the replay, you use the same link. You can come back and use the exact same link. It'll be available. If you're on Facebook, the Facebook replay will be available too. But no, Shelly, you have such good information.
Okay.
I think for myself, I can see all three things: the resistance, the excuses, the judgment. All of those things that creep in.
Okay. Well, should I go ahead and go on to mistake number 3, hoping that the technology will come back on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody asked also, what is the body test? Did you say something? We can put that in the questions though too and come back.
I didn't say anything about a body test, but maybe they were thinking about the reset when I was talking about breaking up with the diet mentality. One of the things I was talking about were resets that seem to be very popular, because they are grounded in that same mentality of drastic measures that drastically restrict your calories. So that might be what that comment was referring to. All right. So now this one, if it is working, Brenda, in just a bit, I might pull up my slides, because this is one that might be harder to follow without my slide. But okay, so mistake number 3 is trying to make the wrong changes. So have you heard that saying, trying to fit a square peg in a round hole? It basically means that you're in a situation that's not suited for you. Like if someone who dislikes being in the sunshine were to go on a tropical vacation, it's not a good fit. It's like suggesting a bargain shopper goes purse hunting at Louis Vuitton. It's not a good fit. Well, I discovered in my own journey and working with others that when it comes to setting a course for right-size living, we sometimes try to force changes that aren't right for us. So one sign that you're focused on the wrong change is that you're unable to stick to it. You might be able to go a day or two, but then you totally fall off track. Or another sign is that it makes you feel miserable. It's like This just really, really sucks. Or it's way too hard, almost like a bolt that's rusted in place. It's like no matter what amount of effort you put into trying to loosen it, it just won't budge. And if you feel totally lack control, like some of your subconscious is overriding your rational thinking, that's a sign that you're focused on the wrong change. You're unable to make progress. It's like no matter how committed you are or how hard you try, you're just not making progress. And what I want you to know, it's not a simple matter of willpower. You are not broken. It's just that you're focusing on trying to make the wrong change. You're trying to put the square peg in the round hole. For change to be right for you, it has to have 3 components. And here is where, Brenda, is it okay if I try the screen share again so that at least if it's recording, it'll be on there? Okay. Let me just select the right window here. Okay. So let me move forward to that slide. And I'm just going to fast forward so that we're not moving around all of them so you can see everything all at once. Normally I would build it gradually. But so number 1, there needs to be motivation. There needs to be a clear reason to make change. So let's say you've been making poor breakfast choices, like having a donut each morning, and it makes you feel queasy. It sucks the energy out of you. And you're pretty sure that it might have something to do with the reason why the scale's gone up a little bit. So instead, you decide you want to eat a nutritious breakfast so that, and your motivation for doing that is so that you have the energy to carry you through the day. And hopefully, as a result, maybe the number on the scale will come back down too. And number 2, there needs to be know-how. And know-how is the practical knowledge that you need to have regarding how to effectively make the change. Like, obviously, you need to know what a nutritious breakfast is, which you probably do know. But let's say you didn't. You might consult a bariatric nutritionist to find out some good breakfast options and the ideal portions. And when you have both the motivation and know-how, those merge to give you the clarity on what you need to do to create the change. The 3rd component for change is willingness. And what this means is that you're not only willing to do what it takes to create change, but that you're ready to make the change. Like, are you really willing to let go of the donut you've been having for breakfast? You know, sometimes there's blocks that you need to work through to get to a state of willingness. There are 8 emotional blockers that I share with my clients that can potentially get in the way of making change. And one of those blockers that get in the way of desired behaviors is food memories. Like, maybe you have food memories where every time you went to visit grandma, the 2 of you would go out and get donuts for breakfast. And in your mind, you might equate giving up donuts with giving up those memories of grandma. Like, that's some pretty deep stuff, right? So when you do have both willingness and know-how, you are then able to take the actions needed to bring your desired change to fruition. And when you come full circle, and willingness and motivation converge, then you have what you need to stay in compliance with the desired change. You know, when I first started working with one of my clients, the first habit she wanted to change was to stop late night snacking. She'd make it sometimes 1 night, sometimes 3, but she'd always return to the late night snacking. And this went on for a long time before she had the revelation that she was focused on the wrong change. It turns out she was trying to change something that was missing one of those 3 elements that required her to make change. She wasn't willing to give up the little squares of chocolate at night. And she found that having those 2 little squares of chocolate at night at the end of a hard day really relaxed her. And she found so much pleasure in it that she just didn't want to give it up. And I'm going to stop the screen sharing too, just in case that helps. But so the thing is, when you have all 3 of those elements, you can make the change. So on a scale of 1 to 10, for those of us that are still with us and still have connection, how successful are you in making your changes? Like, a 1 would be like you're really stuck, and a 10 would be you are a rock star of changes. So I will tell you this, if you're like at an 8, 9, or 10, you probably have the 3 elements required for change. But if you're lower than that, you're probably missing one of those things. So take a closer look and dissect it. So how about that? Can you commit to the next time you are going to make a change that it will have all 3 of those elements? If so, and if you still have connection, type commit in the comments. So just a super quick recap, and that is that the major big idea for today is that the right size mindset is the only way to overcome bariatric regain and keep it off without dieting and deprivations. And we went through that right size living matrix, so that hopefully that was really helpful in helping you see where you're at and where you want to go. And then we dived into those 3 biggest mistakes, which included falling prey to the diet mentality, because it's not as simple as calories in, calories out, and it can mess up your metabolism. Mistake number 2 was letting ego get in your way. We break through ego with curiosity, with self-acceptance, and by facing the challenges. And then that 3rd one was making the wrong change, where sometimes we are just trying to make a change that isn't right for us. We need willingness, we need the motivation, and we need the know-how. So with that, I will turn it over to you. Oh, and thanks. Some people are still hearing us, because I see some commits in there.
Yeah, I think, Laura, I think it looks like that we have lots of comments too on Facebook too. We have people rating a 1, an 8, a 5. Deborah Brasway
Cool.
says hello. She said, please tell Shelly hello.
Hey, Deborah.
She wanted to make sure I said something. And then you can see the comments here. So I'm not going to have to repeat those, but I think all of this information is so helpful, Shelly. So let me ask you this. I know you have a 5-day video course. If you're on Crowdcast, we have the link to it in the call to action button at the bottom of the screen. I'll also put that here, the link that they can check that out. And I want you to tell us a little bit about that. If they're on Facebook, I'm going to paste it there as well.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so this is like a quick way to get back on track if you're struggling, and it also gives really great mindset shifts that you can make. It focuses on 5 specific mindset shifts, and a lot of them are grounded in science, and it's backed by some really, really amazing studies. In fact, there's a couple studies I share in there that will blow your mind. So it is designed to not only teach you this information, it's 5 little bite-sized chunks of 5 videos, and each one shares with you at the end of the video how to immediately implement it, so that it's not just information, it's you are taking action along with these videos. And I did my best to make it as accessible as possible to as many people who can get it. So it's only $27 for a limited time. So if you click that link, if you liked my teaching style and you really want to take a deeper dive into this mindset stuff, that's a great place to start.
And it looks like Deborah also says your Facebook group is amazing. So you have a Facebook group. I don't know if you want to mention that, if that's open to everyone, or if that's just the people that complete your challenge.
If you go to my website, there's a link to my private Facebook group down there. My website is wlsdelight.com. And I don't think it's on the main page, but if you go to the Connect With Me page, you will find out how to get in there.
I'll post that too here, Shelly, too, so that they can take a look at your whole website. And actually, you can see a full picture of Shelly on her website, which is kind of fun because you can see what Shelly looks like right now. Like, you can't see her whole body. I also want to mention too, yes, I also want to mention you have a YouTube channel as well. So if they'd be interested in trying that, is that WLS Delight also?
Yeah, the YouTube channel is WLS Delight.
I'll post that on both too.
And I have a couple. There's one I posted just 2 or 3 weeks ago that is super, super good. So if you go there, check out the most recent one first.
Shelly, is this information that you gave them today, is that available anywhere else?
No, this information is not available anywhere else, but I do from time to time present it. So anyone who is connected with me, I will certainly let you know the next time that I do present it.
And I am pasting both those links here on Facebook, so they'll have both of those too as well. I'm hoping that we still have people that stayed with us, so I'm excited about that, even though with the technical issues. I am just so sorry. And I want to say thank you. Is there anything in closing on your part that you wanted to add, Shelly?
Well, my biggest thing is I just want everyone to know that this is a lifelong commitment, and surgery is an amazingly powerful tool that can change our life, but it doesn't mean that there aren't going to be hiccups in the road. And I just want each of you to know that when you are having a tough time, when you're in that moment, or you might even have moments where you think that your pouch or your sleeve doesn't work anymore. I mean, I know I used to think that and it just wasn't true. But what I want you to know is that it does still work, and you can get back on track if you're having a tough time. And one of the most important things to do when that happens is to stay connected. So stay connected to Brenda's group, because it gets you in touch with people that are going through the same thing, and stay in touch with me and my groups too, because you just sometimes need to know that you're not alone in this.
I 100% agree. I think feeling connected and having partnerships with this is helpful. And actually, just some of the things that you said kind of brings up new ideas and new inspiration. It gives you hope and faith to continue on your journey and not get down on yourself. You know that other people are going through some of the same things, and it makes you feel that camaraderie that you have whenever you're going through things with other people. And it's mind-blowing that it can help you in those ways. And so stay connected. And Shelly, also here, I guess, as a little bit of a closing thought, if it's okay, I might share something that I have. We've been at the end of these programs, we've been sharing a little bit about ProCare, which is our sponsor, and we're coming out with new products, you guys. Almost like the next year, we're probably going to have products every month, and I have a new product I'm going to kind of share with you. And Shelly actually also ordered it right before the program. She wanted to try it out, so I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, ALA. I'm going to share just for a second. I'm hoping it's not going to freeze. I'm going to say a prayer here. I'm going to share, and I have a little graphic here that just basically says, so the question here, first of all, kind of go back, is what is ALA, which is alpha lipic acid, and why might it help me post-bariatric surgery? I'm going to make this screen just a little bigger so they can see this a little better. And so ALA is an organic compound with antioxidant properties, and it's made in small amounts by your body, but it's also found in foods as a supplement. And it may benefit the following. It may benefit, there's a lot of people who've had the COVID issues, post-COVID, and have had some smell and taste dysfunctions. It can help treat the smell dysfunction. It helps the olfactory pathways. It also helps with memory loss and cognitive delays. Promotes nerve function, like with carpal tunnel. A lot of times doctors will prescribe it specifically for that. So if you're noticing any kind of neuropathies, that might be helpful. It can help also reduce skin aging because of the antioxidant properties. It has a that's the biggest thing, the antioxidant properties. And then also may induce weight loss because of its role in energy production, regulating insulin, and reducing inflammation. So I'm going to stop sharing. It can be found on our website. For those of you who aren't familiar, I'll put the link below so that you can log on to that, you guys, and check that out. It is under, actually, let me just show everybody real quick so that they can kind of see. I'll share my screen for just a little hot second. Also want to say Shelly is she's an affiliate. She actually just became an affiliate recently. Shelly, do you want to tell them what made your decision to do that? I'm kind of like, I feel like sharing that is super helpful because I'm going to put vitamins and minerals.
Yeah. And this is actually really important. This is another example of learn from my mistakes. So I have not always been super good about taking my supplements, and I'm 20 years out. I thought I was getting away with it. And all of a sudden, not long ago, I went to the dentist and suddenly found out I have 13 cavities, and that's more cavities than I've had in my entire life. And what's worse is now this next issue, the doctor says that it's not necessarily linked to a calcium deficiency, but I got an infection in my front tooth, and 2 weeks ago I had to have it extracted. And not only is it hard to live without a front tooth, you can probably, I don't know if you've noticed, but I have a little bit of a lisp because I have this temporary thing that I have to wear for a year. I am all about calcium, and this stuff, these taste like a really good chocolate bar, and they're not like some little itty bitty thing. It is like having a chocolate bar in the evening, and I just ordered a year's supply. I love them so much because I know you don't ship them in the summer and the warm months. So I stocked up. So I encourage all of you, one, take all of your supplements, especially for women. We got to take our calcium because it doesn't show up as a deficiency in our blood test. And you don't want to be dealing with these dental issues like I'm dealing with. It's not just hard physically, it's hard emotionally too. So try these. They're so good. It's changed my life. It really has.
You know what I have to say? It's funny because we have actually had some people order a whole year's worth of chocolate because they are seasonal. They're only here, you guys, for short periods of time. Right now, our calcium stock, for whatever reason, production-wise, we've had some issues. So production-wise, our calcium on our website is limited, but we still do have plenty of the dark chocolate. They're like little squares, and some people like to dip them in peanut butter if you're a peanut butter person, but that's kind of like what they look like. I'd open it up, but I need scissors because these things are hard to open for some reason. But they're like little chocolate squares. So good. 500 of calcium, 500 of vitamin D. Very little as far as sugars.
Here's what they look like.
Oh, she can get it open. She's a little smarter than me.
Now this is dangerous because I'm probably going to want to eat it now. But it is only 2 grams of sugar, no artificial sweeteners. Yeah, so to me, I look at this as like a nice little treat to cap off the day.
Oh goodness. And it looks like Deborah says, I need the ALA. Yes, Deborah, if you decide to try it out, use Shelly's link. You will say, so if you use her link, it actually, she gets a little commission from that, so it helps her. And then also her code is Shelly10. So when you get to checkout, type in Shelly10 and you will save 10%. So that is, and Deborah says the dark chocolate is delicious. I have to say it's probably one of our patients' favorites as far as taste wise. So good. But I'm hopeful that a lot of people were able to get this information. If not, we're going to have the replay available. Please feel free. Nothing else. I mean, I may even come back and watch this too, just because, Shelly, I didn't have any problems really. I saw that a couple times you were freezing for me, but I have a feeling that they'll be able to hear everything perfectly fine on the replay. So I'm hopeful with that. Also, check out Shelly's 5-day video course, Back on Track. And Shelly, that's only like $27. Is that correct? $27 for that?
It's only $27. It's a really, really good course. It is jam-packed with great information, but it's only $27 because I wanted to make it accessible. And it's a great little taste test of the type of teaching I do and really will help you get a jump start and get on track.
Yeah. Well, We truly appreciate that. And I think that are some of these things that you taught us in this, are any of those things in that, some of these same ideas, or is it completely different?
No, it's different.
They get the double the
Different
fun
stuff.
then. Double the fun. They get more information.
Yeah, there might be a little bit about the diet mentality, but it's very brief. It's 5 very distinct lessons, and it's some really good content. And like I said, there's even one thing in there that pretty much is guaranteed to, you probably haven't heard it unless you heard it from me, and it will blow your mind.
Makes me want to go buy it right now. I may just have to, I may just have to, Shelly. It looks like Debbie says it's worth way more than $27. She's giving you a testimonial on that. So that's on Facebook.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So I think that's everything, guys. We want to wish you all well. We wish you the rest of your day is wonderful. Hopefully it's not stormy. And if it is stormy, dance in the rain a little bit. So we're ending here. So we're going to wave goodbye and have a great rest of your day. So thank you, guys. And bye-bye.